Welcome back to Anxiety Slayer. We are so thrilled to be with you this week for a new episode called Caring for Yourself When the World is Projecting Division and Sadness. Welcome, Ananga. So good to be with you again. The headlines of the last 6 months have been heavy, full of division, brutality, heartbreaking stories, and oh my goodness, they can leave us feeling so very anxious and sad and hopeless. And we understand. We're hearing you, and we're experiencing this ourselves as well. And so in this episode of Anxiety Slayer, we're going to explore how to care for your nervous system and your emotional well-being in the midst of so much turmoil and division. I think a great place to begin is to remind ourselves and everyone listening in that it's normal to feel more anxious during times of collective sadness.
Yeah. And also that we're aware of so many more things than we would have been even 50 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. Sometimes we want to check on a specific issue that we're concerned about, but we'll see so many other things of concern also, and it can be so overwhelming. And yeah, it's definitely natural to feel more anxious, to feel sad.
We were never meant to take in this much information about everything that's happening all over the world.
No, and we're not wired to be able to process it healthily. I saw some information the other day which reminded me from Ayurveda that we don't just digest what we eat, we digest everything that comes through our senses. Everything we hear, everything we see, whether we're seeing it face to face or seeing it on a screen. And often we're not able to digest or process everything we take in completely. It's like even a good meal, if you eat too much of it, taxes your digestion. There's just too much good stuff, it might be, but there's just too much in your stomach. The stomach needs room to digest and process, and we need space in our heads to digest and process. And these days we just don't have it. So when we've got constant negative impressions coming to our eyes and ears, we're in a state of perpetual emotional indigestion, and it just feels like overwhelm and anxiety at a certain point. Too much incoming, and it disturbs our mental peace, and we're just completely mentally exhausted.
And this is where the gentle practices that we've been sharing for years comes into play, so that you are grounding yourself as much as you can when the headlines become all too much and become overwhelming. This week, I have made time each day to take a beach walk because I know that when I do that, I can be more calm and relaxed. I can imbue a stone with everything that's freaking me out and throw it in the lake, or I can just practice my gratitudes while I'm walking, or just be quiet and listen to the water. And even if it's only for a half an hour, that practice means so much and really helps me stay grounded. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I think you raise an important self-care point, because sometimes when things feel very big, we can then kind of reject those apparently simple practices. They're essential practices, but we can think, what good's that going to do now? I've just read this horrible thing. What good does walking in the woods, walking by the water, talking with a friend, the things we turn to, the things we do to feel grounded? When everything's huge and overwhelming, one thing that can really help is to draw our attention to be small and simple and local, which is what it always was. I read something the other day that happened 150 miles from where I live. So you could say, oh, it's a UK concern. But I wouldn't have known about that previously, because you just knew what was happening nearby. Maybe somebody would have traveled through town at some point and some information would have would have come, but it wouldn't have come with the harrowing details I happened upon accidentally when I was looking for something else. So all the time, it's like this Russian roulette of what's getting our attention and what's really harming our hearts and minds. And one thing that really helps with that is to come away as much as we can and to just stay with the simple, small, familiar, local things. And we can think, how can I be effective in my friendship circle or in my neighborhood? How can I be available to somebody? How can I support or show loving care to somebody else? Hear somebody else. It's not that we're trying to be self centered and put ourselves in the middle of a small circle where we're just kind of drawing the curtains and, putting our fingers in our ears. It isn't that. It's just giving ourselves a chance to regroup and to be in a healthy state, a healthy mental condition. And then we're of more help to others. Self care is really essential. But to try as much as we can to come away from this overwhelming deluge of information.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We really need to make a commitment to limit our exposure to distressing news. And you can do that without being uninformed. You can do that by unsubscribing from emails that you might be getting about the news. Or I know there's some people here in the US that I follow that I trust to keep me on top of the bonkers administration in our country and the political scene in our country. And as much as I appreciate him, I can't do it right now. I need to not be reading something from him daily uh, because it's just too much. But what I can do is put my prayers and contributions out, lower my walls and barriers, and send out as much love and light and prayer and contribution as I can to the bodies and beings who need it as a way of, that's my way of making a contribution right now. I don't have the energy to go create a sign and protest, but I can share information that I've fact checked if I want to online, and then I can pray. Each of us has a different way of showing up when we're distressed, or when we want to make a difference. Not that everybody can, but we can all do something in our own way, whatever is in our best interest to look after ourselves and to make a contribution elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think having that space gives us a chance to review that as well, instead of just feeling absolutely punch drunk by everything that's coming in, to think, how can I make a contribution? What am I prioritizing here that I feel that I should respond to? And how can I respond? A lot of the challenges that we're subject to information that we can do nothing about. Things that if they happened in front of us, we would absolutely act on them. But things that we can't because they're happening miles away, countries away. So to understand that it's not that we don't care. In fact, it's often that we care so much, that we care so deeply, and that's what's really taking us out, that we can feel hopeless. We can feel hopeless and helpless, and that's a very low state. So to definitely protect ourselves, limit our exposure where we can. Also, we're under attack from algorithms really trying to grab our attention. I was talking to you earlier, Shan, that I use YouTube for listening to lectures. My YouTube algorithms of my choice are very uplifting and very gentle. And lo and behold, this weekend, I think the algorithms changed because I started seeing in my feed some really, what could you call it, stirred up posts,
Sure.
hate posts, things that I would never choose to watch. So I immediately, on YouTube, you can say you're not interested. So I did that, but they kept coming. And I was thinking, oh, there's some algorithm here that's just serving me up the disturbing stuff that, it's just too easy to click on. But it's not in relation to anything I watch or have anything to do with. So, it's coming at us as well. Sometimes we're looking for something gentle to watch. Let me just look at something inspiring or uplifting. And there it is in your feed. And of course, we've now got this attention economy, which is just such an awful thing. So we're kind of at this constant state of, I don't know what you could call it, defensiveness.
I think of it as a hypervigilance. I think of it as cortisol inducing, but then that's also balanced with there's so much happening that you almost become numb to it.
Yeah, there's that as well. Compassion fatigue.
Yeah. It's like, are you kidding me? This just happened. And then the next day, this happened. And the next day, this happens. And I mean, and that's where cultivating compassion and connection when everything just feels so out of control, everything feels so divided. One of the one of the things that I'm doing now to cultivate kindness and compassion, anytime I go out in the world, no matter who I interact with, if I have the opportunity, I compliment them on their eyes, on a piece of jewelry, on their blouse, their dogs. I don't care what it is, and it's something I would think anyway, but now I'm saying it out loud because maybe a smile or a kindness, uh, maybe that makes a difference, and made a difference for me because I feel much more light when I do it, and I think, oh, just one little kindness at a time, and to be in that space of compassion and to do so without feeling heavy about like, oh, not everything has to be heavy. And we can do, there's so much work that we can do, and I shouldn't call it work, but there's so many calming practices that we can take on board to help us have that care and compassion, but also to keep our bodies regulated and our minds regulated. And that really starts with being quiet, that shh. As soon as your mind starts going, I invite you to just go shh.
Yeah. Not so easy when the mind's stirred up. It gets very chattery, and we sometimes feel compelled to check the news, check social media. It's such a compulsion. It's not so easy, but it is a really good practice. Sometimes we need some help with that, don't we? We might need, something that I use, which is away from any device that I can fall down the rabbit hole on, is just an old-fashioned MP3 player. A lot of people now are going back to using iPods, MP3 players, analog tools, cameras. There's a sort of a rebellion at the moment against all the digital pressure. I like my MP3 player because I cannot do anything but listen on it. So if I need help with the shush, I can put my headphones on, click on there. The other night I was listening to a beautiful guided Qigong practice, propped up in bed, and it was so calming. It was so calming. And there was just no question of anything else diverting my attention from that on that simple little device.
I've been doing some candle gazing again. The mornings are getting a little darker here, and I thought, oh, that's a practice I haven't done in a while. And I'm burning candles anyway, almost every morning. So to just sit and kind of close your eyes just a little bit, half mast, I guess, and to just watch the flame dance and breathe and watch and breathe and invite that light in. And even if you do it for just a few minutes in that space of calm and beauty and invitation to something other than this distressing news.
Yeah, good time of year for that as well, to invite the light. And it's such a good practice for regaining our single point of focus, which helps calm anxiety, but also helps retrain us to just say, I'm just doing this for a few minutes. This is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm not checking anything else, doing anything else. Sometimes we need to retrain ourselves to be able to do that.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you brought that forward. And I don't think it's just me, but uh, part of the way my brain works is uh, apparently very ADD or ADHD because I will catch myself doing candle gazing and then be thinking about needing to, thaw something for dinner, get the plants watered, the to-do list starts to come up. And and if I weren't candle gazing, I would somehow be doing all of those things at once, just moving around to this, to that, to this, to that. And to come back to, oh, wait, shh. Let's bring it back to this single point focus. You can get all of that is going to get done at another time. You don't have to be in a rush. Almost like it's a race.
Yeah, it's something I've noticed with myself that I'm really not happy about is even if I'm listening to something I'm particularly interested in, I'll tap the screen and see how many minutes are left. And we have this kind of get it done mentality. So I'm considering it a relapse that I'm working with. We've just got this kind of quick fix, serve it up information thing happening these days. And I think that's one of the many negative effects of it. I was listening to a monk a couple of weeks ago talking about what you just shared in meditation, where the mind has got its list. And it's like, I need to water the plant, or I need to do this today, or I need to remember to do that. The mind's vying for our attention. It might be serving up some anxieties. And he gave a really good tip of just understanding that that's the mind's business. That's what the mind does. So to not get involved with that. He was sharing that we get really fatigued if we're trying to counter the mind and we're trying to stop it because it's relentless. So his advice was that you just tell your mind, okay, you're being a mind. That's what you do, and I'm over here doing this. I'm over here looking at my candle, chanting my japa, meditation, whatever I'm doing. You do your thing, and because we know we're not the mind, and it's our intelligence that can sidestep it. So it's like, you just carry on, and I'm going to carry on. And he said that saves us a lot of fatigue in our practice.
I think that's one of the reasons too why I like walking meditation because I can roll that part of my personality into the beautiful stones, the way that the leaves are shimmering in the wind, the sound that they make, the lapping water on the shore, and I can name it and take it in. And so it's still calming and it's still kind of working through a list, if you will, because it's what I'm observing. But I notice that it's still a really, really good practice.
Definitely. I think the more we can ground our senses in something gentle and with us, something natural, the better. And that's what you're doing is a very natural way of doing that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 practice, isn't it? Where you consciously count what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell. But you're just doing it naturally by curiosity and being present in your surroundings. And that's certainly very, very helpful.
Mm. As is creativity of any sort, whether that be journaling or painting or drawing or poetry writing. Please don't put this stuff aside because of the stress that you're feeling. Bring it forward to support the stress, to alleviate it. Even doodling, it can be the smallest investment and have the biggest reward.
Yeah, that's what I naturally go back to in the autumn. I seem inspired to get my colouring pencils. It seems to be a seasonal inclination. And I remembered yesterday, some time ago, I bought a Domestica course on nature journaling. And I thought yesterday, okay, I need something that's going to hold my attention in a relaxed and, good place. So I went back to that and I really enjoyed it. I just did one lesson on that course, drew a little hummingbird, which came out better than I expected because it was a good course with good guidance.
Oh, I want to see it.
I don't know where it is now. It's just scribbled on a bit of paper somewhere. But it was relaxing, and again, it's the more senses we can get involved, the better. I like the sound of pencils on paper. I like the smell of wooden pencils. Many of us like the smell of a book. As many senses as we can bring. And we've shared this before. It can be cooking, baking, making bread, kneading the dough, cooking with love. Whatever it is that engages our senses in a simple present moment act really saves us again and again from overwhelm and anxiety.
And to remember too, as we close out today, you are not alone. We're here with you. Your community's here with you. Take time to nurture your heart and mind to the best of your ability. This isn't selfish at all. It's necessary. You deserve it. Because when you care for yourself, you restore the strength and compassion needed to move through this world with more grace. And we really appreciate you listening in and joining us in our Facebook group and Patreon. We have lots of guided practices at our Patreon and courses for deeper support, meditations as well, and anything that you might be looking for. Over the last almost 16 years, we've created it for you.
I think there's one thing that might be really helpful at this time. There's a few things on our Patreon, but we have something called SOS tapping. You could probably just Google it and find it. It's SOS tapping for when everything feels too much. And it's just a short, guided tapping practice to just really bring that anxiety down when we feel overwhelmed.
And it's so good to come together with you again, Ananga.
You too.
And thank you for your contribution. And we're just going to continue to do our best to look after ourselves and those we love. Thanks for listening.